had
If there's
from other
ever
people.
a boss battle on this show that takes too long, it's because I'm doing something wrong. I am getting my ass kicked, or I'm at that point where, like, I'm not beating the boss, but the boss isn't beating me, so the battles just kind of go. Welcome back to the last story. In the last part, we were invaded by the Garak. So now we're in an awkward predicament where we have to begrudgingly work with Count Argadon. It's weird. It's like when you break up with a girlfriend or your friend and then a teacher assigns you a project to work on together shortly after. It's just like, oh.
I have never been in that situation.
I have with like a friend where like me and my friend were like just having like a rough patch. And it was just like, meh, I don't really want to be around you. And we were assigned to work together. And I was just like, yeah.
You do that part at your house, I'll do this part at my house. Okay,
Yep.
bye.
We'll rendezvous in 2 days. Good luck to ya. All right. So, anywho, to save Lazulis Island from the Garak, we have to work with Count Argadon. Watch your head.
Oh, my face.
Careful now.
Just as long as I don't end up dying in this.
And while it's at my attention, I would like to talk that for this playthrough, especially because we know someone's at least watching frequent episodes, that Amanda and I are seeking mental and physical help. So we are going to be possibly taking breaks here and there. We don't know if it will affect gaming cats and dogs, but we know it will affect just like schedules, because we don't want Pupcorn to add to our anxiety. We want it to relieve anxiety.
It's something that's supposed to be fun and just like a happy, fun thing. And I don't know about you, but I know for me, like, it's not the cause of my anxiety, but like one of the side effects for like my mental health and my anxiety is I just want to go to sleep.
Right.
So like I took a 3-hour nap today. And it's like I do feel better afterwards, but like that also affects timing for us to get some things done on time. So
So just mainly in like when we get to the new year, we're not going to have that many scheduled videos. We're just going to get them done when we get done.
Yeah.
And if there's not a video on a normal upload day, just consider we took like a mental health day to like recharge, because it's surprising how sometimes I'll burn through like 5 or 6 videos and be like, I need a break. And other times I just need 2 videos and I'm just like, I need a break.
Yeah.
So like there's no consistency.
Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I'll try again tomorrow.
So anyways, on to the game at hand. This is Zoran. He was that Weasley guy from much earlier in the game. And because all the monsters got broke out of prison, he's free too, but he's decided to just be a merchant. Because he's like, yeah, I'm going to get my ass kicked by these Garak. I'm going to lay low and just sell my goods, see if I can make some profit off this war.
I very much enjoy, so I started Ys 9.
Ah, okay.
I very much enjoy that there is a shady shop merchant.
Okay.
That sells black market goods.
Okay.
It was just pretty funny interaction upon first meeting him.
I'm definitely curious about Ys 9. Like, I've seen a little bit so far, and I'm just like, interesting, very cool. Like, I already like some of the music, but like, it's a Ys game. Ys games just have fantastic music. I think the worst soundtrack is the one on the Super Nintendo, and that's just because like Super Nintendo has a different style of music that does not fit the Ys series.
Well, Ys is very much like orchestral metal type, like intense
rock
music.
But like, it's not all intense.
Not
like
ping,
that's
ping, 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 pong.
To be fair, that's not Super Nintendo music either. But what I'm getting at is Ys music is surprisingly on the surface like all hard rock, but it knows how to like be subtle and have some very moving pieces. By the way, this is a brutal enemy right here. This is the Berith. It is a monster that has a shield that you have to destroy so that you can attack it.
Oh my gosh,
it
that's
also
the name
has
of
a
the bad guy in the book I wrote when I was in 7th grade.
Oh yeah, that book. The book where I was just like, oh boy, water dragon, and they literally fall out a window, and I'm just like, that was the end of the water dragon, wasn't it? And I was just like, I am disappointed.
Well.
But it's always like, hey, you learn by going forward. It's like when I made my first game and I'm just like, well, that didn't turn out well. I take that experience going forward to be like, all right, that's how I wanted it to be, but it didn't turn out. Now I'm going to approach it differently to get it to how I envisioned it in my mind.
Nothing seems to harm it as long as that value.
But anywho, the Berith has a crossbow, or basically a longbow. So that weapon in its arm is both a polearm, which is very deadly up front, and a bow, which you can use to fire arrows from afar.
Huh. Nice.
It's very tricky, and even though I have the shield down, I am barely chipping away at its health. So we gotta do our best. And right now, I'm waiting for my accelerator to build up so that I can unleash it. That way I can slash faster, just doing a bit more damage. Its worst move, and it doesn't do it that often here, is what it does right there. It will dash. And it causes immense damage. It's like a... I almost said javelin. Joisting, I think it's called?
Jousting?
Jousting, yes. It's like jousting. It'll just dash towards either you or one of your character. And it can take a lot of damage if you are like right in the line of fire.
See, I don't know how I feel about not final bosses, but just random bosses in the game having like a really long and brutal battle.
Oh yeah?
I'm
Even
not-
if it's that late in the game? Like, we're approaching the last third.
The last.
The last
Story.
third of the last story, exactly. But like, sometimes it's common for like the last batch to be like just like tough,
See,
tough,
I like.
tough, tough.
I'm just thinking in terms of like I remember reading the one post that was like, oh my gosh, I had like a boss battle that lasted an hour and a half, and I'm like, that doesn't sound fun to me.
The only time I remember a boss battle lasting more than like 10 to 20 minutes is in an MMO, to where it's you and a group of people,
Yeah.
and you're basically doing like this raid scenario, and it's like an event,
Yeah.
and it takes
I just
sometimes
like,
up to an hour
yeah,
to take
just
down a boss.
The way that I think about it, I'm just like, that sounds like no fun. Like,
There was a boss, I think it was like Final Fantasy XI, for an online game, that was so ridiculously hard and so long that players actually got physically ill. And they had to purposely nerf the boss because they did not expect players to get ill.
huh.
Like, whether it was just nausea or exhaustion, but like, there were just cases of people getting sick trying to beat this boss. And the creators were just like, alright, let's tone it down a bit. To where I don't think there's a possibility to fight that boss now. But I do know that like after those cases came out, they like weakened the boss quite a bit immediately. So that boss no longer exists.
Well, it's just like, I mean, come on, like,
So what's nice is that once you get a little bit of its health gone, your team shows up. And now its health is going to go down at a much faster rate.
yeah.
So it's not as bad. It's more like just hold your ground until you can like chip away at the point when your team shows up.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit better. I don't think there's any bosses aside from the last one that actually takes a while. Most bosses, there's like a moment to where it takes a bit, but once you get the strategy,
Yeah, once
then it
you
speeds
figure,
up.
and that's fine. Like, that's expected. But I just, again, hearing that, like, oh, these bosses sometimes can take up to an hour, and I'm just like, I give myself allotment for times that or for things that I consider to be, like, playtime.
Now, do you consider that one boss battle? Or,
Yes.
like, what about a boss with multiple forms?
I feel like it's all the same. If you don't have a break or a reprieve in between
Okay.
to just, like... So it's not like, say you beat this guy, and then you walk through the doors, and there's, like, a cutscene, and then immediately another boss. You still had that moment where you could walk out the doors, have a cutscene, a little bit more of the story,
Okay.
and then you face another boss. But if this guy just randomly has 3 different forms, and it takes you an hour and a half to beat all 3 forms, I'm just like, holy fuck, like, that was just the entire time that I gave myself to have, like, playtime, and,
I
and
gotcha.
all I got to do was this one thing.
Okay. I'm trying to think of any instances, and I'm just
I
like,
don't think we've come across it yet.
No,
it's
not
more
yet.
or less just things that I've read.
if there's
from other
ever
people.
a boss battle on this show that takes too long, it's because I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
I am getting my ass kicked, or I'm at that point where, like, I'm not beating the boss, but the boss isn't beating me, so
Yeah.
the battle's just kind of going.
I think there was
and eventually
one or two
one
those
of us
in
will
Paper Mario.
croak. There was one of those in Paper Mario, and there was one of those in Child of Light,
Oh, yeah.
where I was just like, well, I'm just taking my sweet time and healing after every turn, and eventually they'll fall. But see, he's almost dead.
Yeah.
It's always nice to have, like, elements attached to your sword by walking through these rings. It allows you to chain attacks, and really the damage stacks,
Yeah.
and it allows the battles to go a bit quicker. So that's always nice. And here we go. Acceleration mode. Shadow Stitch. I like Shadow Stitch because with most enemies, not this one apparently, it paralyzes them.
But not this one.
No, not this one. Heaven forbid this boss is immobile. That's the most annoying thing about this boss is he's constantly moving. And like, as you can see, his shield regenerates.
Yeah.
So like, even if you shatter it once,
It
there's
can
some
come
bosses in
back.
video games where if you shatter the shield, that's it. He's done with the shield. You just
Yeah.
gotta take him out. And then there's other bosses where they regenerate the shield.
What I think could be a really cool concept, and I'm sure it's nothing new, I'm almost positive it's in other games. is,
Got
like,
him.
Where it will regenerate, but regenerate weaker. Like, if you break
okay.
it once, like, the first time you break it is the hardest that it will ever be. And then it regenerates, but it doesn't take as many hits to break it.
Okay. No, that's an interesting idea.
So it's like...
I'm sure there is a
yeah,
game.
that's
it's
what
just
I'm
not
saying. Like,
coming
I'm
to
like,
the
that's not like
top
a,
of my head.
you know, an epiphany or like a super unique concept.
No, I feel that.
But I just think it'd be really cool.
I'm sure there's a game.
I'm starting to get a really bad feeling. I suppose that means we're getting close.
All right, here we go.
I sense great.
So, funny you should say that. So, right after this save point and through that portal is another boss battle.
See, and to me, that's fine because you get a chance to save your game. You
Yeah.
can heal your party. There's like
You could
some
even turn
dialogue.
the game off here.
Yeah, like there is a moment of not fighting.
Okay. And
Whereas, like,
equipping the
most of the
Chaos
time,
Blade,
yeah,
yo.
whereas most of the time, whenever a boss has multiple forms, you don't get to leave the arena.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're still fighting while it's transforming into whatever it's becoming.
I got you. Because I was also thinking of the Castlevania games. They're not long battles, but Dracula just takes me a while to beat, okay?
Yeah.
So I die, like, 30 sometimes.
See, I feel like it's very different if you die and have to restart versus, like, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and
the
it is
battle's
just
just
a
taking a
long
while.
battle.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, can we, like, even it out a little bit? Like,
Okay. All right, so down there is the Outsider. And our power of the Outsider is calling to it. And Count Argonon is just kind of egging him on. Egging it on, I'm sorry.
What is this?
so you haven't seen the part in Black Butler yet, but it makes me think of the Reaper.
Oh. What does the Outsider?
Yeah, like all of the little tendrils and things.
Oh, cool.
She's like, "Hey, my friend."
Reminds me of that scene in The Abyss when, like, the water and she's, like, trying to touch it and she smiles and it smiles.
Yeah.
Remember that scene?
Yeah.
He's trying to instigate it, though. He wants to unleash its wrath.
What if it just like eats him? I just want like a mouth to open up and nom 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 nom.
Is this directed by Ridley Scott? That sounds like... I fucking love how, like, the have you seen Prometheus? It was like a not alien, but alien movie. And you have, like, these advanced
think
scientists.
so.
And they come across this planet, and you got this scientist, and the first thing he does is like, wow, what an advanced specimen. And he pokes it. And I'm just like, what the... That's something that happens to, like, the mechanic on the ship. He's like,
Yeah.
what's that? Poke. Ah!
Yeah.
But, like, what? You're a fucking...
I think it's just human nature to touch it.
I guess so, but it's just like, well, he's dead, and sure as shit.
I was actually talking. Ooh.
Yeah.
It's like a little.
This is the guardian of Lazulis Island, the Sentinel Beast,
really
Mitra.
I can feel the same energy.
It's either like a big old bird or a dragon or
Yeah,
something.
it looks like a bird. It looks like a multi-winged bird. Oh, but I see what you mean, where it could be a dragon.
Yeah, and it's draining the energy from Count Argonon,
It's draining his life.
which serves him right because it's just
Yeah,
like,
it's like,
hey,
do you have to
don't dick
like-
around with the outsider.
Oh, that would also be kind of like a cool move to make as a game designer of like.
I'm taking notes.
If you have a character like Count Argonon, where it's like he's very clearly part of the problem.
Yeah.
He is a bad guy, and you have a boss like this,
Mm-hmm.
that you could make the choice to like fight the boss and save the Count,
Mm-hmm.
or you could let him die.
Oh, okay. Kind of a bit of morality here.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is you have to reflect his projectiles back at them. It requires very specific timing. I'm not that good at it. So there's another way to do it. You can diffuse Miranya's circles, and that silences the boss, allowing it to get to the ground to where you can actually deal damage.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's basically like Dead Man's Volley, but like the timing's just awkward
Yeah.
to where you have to deflect it perfectly and the shot goes back. Sometimes I do it. Most of the time, my timing's just off, and I'm just like, well, volley for serve.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not good at volleyball, so.
I was actually kind of decent at volleyball, but I had this one move. We always played with my coworkers. I had this one move because I was always afraid of hurting my hands.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just like chicken wing.
I got
and
you.
I would hit the ball with my elbows instead. They all thought it was hilarious, and I was like, listen,
Was it
works.
effective? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, it works, and I don't have to hurt my hands.
So the problem is, like, when it's up close, it has deadly claws. It swipes at you and just look at that damage.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta take your time and block. You know what this boss reminds me of?
What?
A stronger version of Figment from Trials of Mana.
Oh,
to where he was
yeah.
climbing around and then he'd stomp around and
Yeah.
claw at you and stuff. But you could get him to, were you getting him to slip on the ice, or were you, like, interrupting his
Well-
spells, which allowed him to slip?
Keep in mind,
What made him fall?
I played on easy,
Okay.
but I believe it was if you interrupted his spell.
Okay.
But because I was playing on easy, I actually didn't have any ice physics,
Oh, wow. Well, there you go.
so I didn't slip.
Yeah, the characters would slip a lot, but, like, I'm pretty sure it was, like, disrupting his spell or something. He'd eventually fall over, and you could just gang up on him.
Yeah.
He was easy. Sentinel Beast Mitra, on the other hand, not so much. He's not a hard boss, but, like, he can whoop your butt if you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Because just so much is going on, and we have, like, a huge party here.
And
Everybody's here but Dagran.
because he's the bad guy.
But yeah, basically I'm just chaining silence after silence.
Yeah.
Keep him on the ground, because otherwise you do very little damage when he's airborne. Actually, I don't think you do damage. I think he deflects damage. Oof, careful, careful.
And knock you off the edge.
Thank God that doesn't happen. Because if it did, I'd be very
There's
upset.
a couple fights in Ys where they can knock you over the edge. It doesn't like game over or anything. You
Oh,
just like
okay.
respawn back up onto the battlefield,
That's
but
good.
like it does slow things down.
Mm-hmm. One of my least favorite things about the Castlevania games is being knocked back and you're on the edge and you fall down.
Yes.
Even though you have full health, you get pinched
Yep.
or bumped by a bat and you just fall down to your death.
Oh yeah.
That is infuriating.
Yep.
Luckily in the newer games, like Lords of Shadow doesn't have knockback. You take damage, he just like, ugh, and that's it. He doesn't
Yeah.
go flying.
See, that's like I like that way better than like the knockback where like you take damage but it also pushes you.
Mm-hmm.
I do really like the design of this boss.
Yeah, it's really cool. Alright, I'm accelerating. Let's consider the blizzard circle. Oh, cool. Good, good, good. Slip, fall, and... Oh, now he fires lasers. Oh, dear.
I'm a firing my lasers.
Okay, now everyone's silenced. Alright, hang on. think there is a circle that we can diffuse to get rid of the silence on us. I'm gonna say it's like a healing circle. What's it doing now? Oh god, see, that didn't count as a deflection. So like if you're guarding and it attacks, I don't think that's counted as a deflect. You have to actually like hit it.
Oh.
Hit it back with
Yeah.
a guard. Ancient Barrier's always nice. And Revive's nice too. Revives allows us to get another life.
Okay.
So like you see how Lull has a life missing? Well, actually
Yeah.
doing pretty good in this fight. But like let's say that like he had like 3. If you do Revive, it adds another life. And again, if you keep recharging Miranya's like special meter,
Right.
you can keep doing revives.
Okay.
So long as her special meter's full. So like you no longer have just 5 lives for like a battle. You can, if you strategize, you can have
Yeah.
like 8 or more. Which is definitely helpful in these future fights. We're almost done though. But the interesting thing is now he's not going to be on ground as long. Oh. Okay, I guess that is the end. I forgot this boss doesn't let you, like, kill it all the way. It retreats. It's like, alright, screw you guys. I'm out.
Yeah. It's a nice day out today, so of course all the dogs are barking.
Yeah, well.
So if you hear any puppers in the background, it's
I've said this before and I'll say
Neighbors.
this again. There have been times where we record and like in the moment I'm just like, oh, that was awful commentary. And then I put all the bells and whistles together, put the video up, and then days later
Oh,
I
yeah,
watch
you
it and I'm
can't
just
even
like,
hear it.
I don't even remember what happened.
yeah.
And like the commentary, in my opinion, is still pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the benefit of doing like a commentary is if there's a plane or a train or a dog or a
Or an
car,
automobile.
like or an automobile, you don't really hear it once the music and the commentary and the dialogue and things are all put together. So
Yeah.
a lot of those little tiny sounds that sound really loud to us aren't coming through, which is awesome.
Yep. Alright, it's firing the giant Lazulis laser. It just burns through all of them. Striking true. See? That's what we wanted the Sentinel Beast to do from the get-go. It was just cranky. It was like, hey,
I don't
why are you
wanna."
slashing at my door frame?
Look at that manic smile.
Yeah, he's gone nuts. And now he's commanding it to fire again and again. Destroy them all. Here we go, another laser. Nuke the enemies. Crush your enemy, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the women.
Okay.
That is the goal in life of Conan the Barbarian, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Stop, that's enough! Count Argonan! It's all mine!
Touch it.
This island, this energy, it is all mine!
Uncle! Uncle, please!
So that's her uncle, right?
Yes. And he's drunk with power right now.
Island belongs to me.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, it just vaporized him. And I think it overheated.
Ew.
Because the whole tower just malfunctioned. So, like, we just dealt a devastating blow to the Garak, but we didn't destroy them.
Yeah.
And now our entire tower is malfunctioned. So they're like,
The remaining
Our
Garaks are
turn.
like, it is time. You sunk my battleship.
you've sunk my battleship.
You sunk my island. Gonna pull a Lin-Manuel Miranda. Rhyme island with island.
Ooh. They're like, hey, we got a laser too. Shing. Alright, we better get the hell off Lazulis Island.
It isn't clear to me why the Garak are attacking. I think I may have forgotten.
Vast amounts of energy from the
So Zangarak also wants the power of the outsider, but keep in mind that like Lazulis Island and the Garak have been feuding throughout.
Okay.
And like I think it was explained in like the books that like we read on the show but didn't read out loud on the show. But like there's just a long history between like humans and Garak not getting along.
who fought passionately to defend their great fortress.
Probably fueled by like Count Argonin, but
Yeah.
Lazulis Island
again, Zangarak's not going to care whether Count Argonon's out of the picture or not. He wants the other half of the outsider.
Right.
opportunity passed by. With a deadly attack, they pierced the castle through and claimed victory for
So the Garak
themselves.
win.
The final hope of humankind had been extinguished. This happened at
The Garak may
very
have won the
same
battle, but the
instant
war is not over yet.
Count Argonon breathed his last.
But yeah, Count Argonon's gone. So bwomp bwomp, there goes Count Argonon as final boss. Oh boy.
I know it's gonna be
There's
Dagger.
only a couple contenders
I
left.
am almost
Who could
positive.
it be? Now, it could be Zangarak, King of the Garak.
As if
That's too obvious.
had become
Okay.
hell itself.
But now we gotta protect our city,
Came swarming from
because the Garak are swarming in.
fortress, and their mighty battleships loomed ever closer. All hope
I enjoy
seemed
how they're running.
lost for Lazarus.
That's how I imagine frogs would run on two legs.
Ah,
Yet, as long as there was anyone,
one knight would fight on.
one night would fight on. Therius.
Seriously. Seriously, there can only be one knight.
Like, you gotta be kidding me. This can't be serious.
This can't be Therius.
Practically on his own. The party split into two groups, one to evacuate any citizens.
Okay, so chapter
and one to
35,
assist
Port Lazulis. We have to assist Therius in the next episode. See you then.
Toodles!